Hey guys, and welcome back to this channel. So in today's video we are about to talk about variables. So what are variables? Variables are a way to store information in our computer. So variables that we define in a program can be accessed by a name we give them, and the computer does the hard work of figuring out where they get stored in the computer's random access memory, also known as RAM. You may have heard about RAM when you go to the computer store to buy a computer and they ask you about the RAM memory. Well, that's the memory where the variables get stored. So a variable, as the name suggests, can be changed. So in other words, its contents are variable. And what we have to do is tell the computer what type of information we want to store in the variable, and then give it a name. So there are a lot of different type of data that we can define for our variable. Collectively, these are known as data types. So as you may have guessed, data types are keywords in Java. And let's just start out by defining a variable of type int. So int being an abbreviation for integer, which is a whole number. That's a number without any decimal point, so it's not a 0.567, it's just 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or a million. But to define a variable, we need to specify the data type, then give our variable a name, and optionally add an expression to initialize the variable with a value. So let me show you, let me explain to you what I mean. So in here we have our IntelliJ open. So if you want to express a variable in your computer, you need to start with an int, which stands for integer, and then you need to give this data type a name, and you can choose whatever name you want to give it. So for this one, we just type in my first number, and then add the value of the valuable, I'm sorry, 5, and end up with a semicolon. So if we want to print this variable out, we need to type in system out print parentheses, or I'm sorry, system out print ln parentheses. And if we are about to do a quote unquote and type in my first number, which is the same name of our variable, guess what will be printed? So will it be this number 5 or something else? So I give you just a second to think about it. So pause this this video and think about it and write down for yourself a name, or even comment it in the comment section below. So do you have guessed it? Was it the 5 or was it this name? If we hit the play button, we need to run this main method. So it takes up a second. And it gives us my first number. Why is this? Because it's a string literal. We have quoted. So this method, the value of this method, has a quote unquote. And it's called a string literal. And a string literal is any sequence of characters surrounded by double quotes. So if we are about to move these quotes away, and we hit play again, now we get the value of this variable, which is 5. So this value can be a lot more complicated, this expression or variable. we can do something like 5 times 8, and we can ask the computer to define what's the result of this sum. We can do one more time system out print. And just a side note for you, if you just type in SOUT and you hit the tab button, it will write it for you down. So that's an abbreviation of system out println. Now we need to type in the name of this variable, my first number. I'm sorry, I made a mistake in here. It needs to be also another side note. I always start the first word with a capital letter. So it starts with a low letter, and the very first after is first, which is with a capital F. So keep that in mind every time you give your variable a name. Just make it with capital letters. And now if we hit the play button, so 5 times 8 is 40, and that's the exact same result that we get here, number 40. But we can make it a lot more complicated. So if we go here and type in another variable, which is my second number, and we type in the equal sign, now open up parentheses, and doing something like 6 times 8 plus, open up parentheses, 7 divided by 2, and end up with a semicolon. So just one more time, if you type in SOUT and hit the tab button, you will get the system out println written for you automatically, or you can just type in system out println if you want to remember it, obviously. So now, as I told you, you don't have to use the quote unquote. You can just type in my second number, and IntelliJ is already type in for us my second number, because we have used it as a variable in this area. So my second number, hit the tab button, and if we hit the play button, we get 51 as a result. Why is this? Because 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, but because we used this, we used the divided sign, Java is not. So let me show you an example. So if we do int my third number is 7 divided by 2, hit with a semicolon, SOUT tab, my third number. So guess what this result will be? It will not be 3.5. So if we hit the play button, it's only 3. So why is this? Because in the beginning I've told you that the int variables are always whole numbers. So Java don't recognize any decimal points after the 3, because you have defined your variable with as an integer. So on the very next video, I'll show you a method to make it appear like 3.5. So in that video, we are about to use another variable, and I'll give you an explanation about that variable as well. So I hope I was clear for you guys in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. give this video a like button, hit the subscription button, and I'll see you in the very next video.